Welcome to Bayou Time. I'm Jacob DeGate, and now joining me on set is First Lieutenant Blake Tabor of the Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office. Thank you very much, Lieutenant.
Thank you.
I understand that there was some recent burglaries that your office is investigating. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So back in November of 2023, our property crimes detectives within our sheriff's office began investigating a series of mini storage burglaries that were happening and have continued to happen up until this point. It's my understanding that there's been a lot of investigation that's sort of gone into identifying a particular suspect, and we certainly released some information on a wanted person several days prior. So that person has been identified as a Derek Von Chancey. He's a 41-year-old male from Houma. You see him photographed here. During the course of that investigation, we began to link a lot of evidence that began pointing in the direction of Mr. Chancey. So ultimately, they were able to secure some arrest warrants for him, and we're actively seeking him right now. So initially, our press release sort of culminated in us asking the public to help us locate this particular individual. And the reason for that is it has been relayed to us that it appears that he is leading a homeless type lifestyle. May be seen walking the streets, maybe walking through a lot of parking lots, begging for money, things of this nature. And it's also strongly indicated that he may be using a bike as a mode of transportation. So with that being said, we want, the public to just remain vigilant. If they see someone that appears to be close in identification to Mr. Chancey, obviously contact us immediately at the Sheriff's Office, 985-876-2500. And obviously you can also call 911 or the Houma Police Department, depending on what jurisdiction you're in.
Okay, and so this is for burglaries at mini storages. I'm sure, that's one area that I guess is not constantly monitored. Well, you have surveillance there as well, but are there any other things or tips you can do just to help people out there to prevent themselves from becoming a victim, whether it's at a mini storage or whether it's at their own home as well?
Sure, and we talk about this a lot, and I think the one thing I want to focus on and sort of educate the public beyond the safety tips is, we'll get comments on our Facebook page asking, well, why wasn't the public informed of, these type of burglaries that were going on? And it's really important for the public to understand that a lot of times if we release too much information, it could be detrimental to the case. When you are dealing with burglary suspects and burglary incidents, they become very in-depth. And oftentimes we have to get very lucky to sometimes identify suspects. So the information that we always put out to the public is when we need an immediate response from the public, other than just be vigilant and secure all of your belongings and those types of things. So it's really important to point that out. We can't put out every bit of information that is necessary. Because sometimes it is just detrimental. So that was the particular case in this set of circumstances. Now, it's my understanding that the crimes that Mr. Chancey is wanted for are not the only burglaries that are happening to many storages. He's been isolated to a very specific area in the west side of Houma, and there may be other burglaries that are being investigated as well. But certainly Mr. Chancey is being looked at as a suspect in connection with those. So, when we go to tips, we will see several times throughout the year, oftentimes it's the summer, where our vehicle burglaries start to increase, right? And we can put a lot of what ifs to that. It could be, the juvenile element being out and about. It could be because the weather is better. It could be a lot of reasons, sure. But we want to make sure that people are staying vigilant around the clock. Some of the factors that we see that play into that is people leaving their cars unlocked. Here we are in the beginning portion of 2024, and yet there are still people that leave their cars unlocked, and oftentimes there are a large amount of valuables in there, and sometimes even firearms. So, if our public has not figured that component out, it is extremely important to lock your vehicles. And we feel at the Sheriff's Office that can alleviate a large portion of the vehicle burglaries and thefts that happen when it comes to cars. Again, You want to make sure, because there is a criminal element out there that is looking specifically for high dollar valued items and specifically for weapons. And it's time that we understand that and do our due diligence to make sure that we're helping out our community by just simply locking our vehicles. Again, we always talk about securing your property. That goes for your front door. We want to lock our doors at night just to be on the safe side. We want to lock our doors when we're leaving our homes, any type of exterior sheds. In this particular case, many storages, we want to lock all of our belongings just if for no other reason to keep people honest.
Sure.
Right? And I think those particular safety tips will go a long way.
And I guess another thing that people can do if you don't have motion sensors on your lights, outside, that's another thing that can maybe hopefully scare, if somebody comes around and a light comes on,
Absolutely.
that can be a preventive measure as well.
Absolutely. Motion sensors are a great tool. Of course, we always push video cameras. We also understand that those can be quite pricey. But again, it may be as simple as speaking to your neighbor across the street who does have video cameras and you don't. Perhaps, something can be worked out to where maybe one of those cameras can be pointed in the angle of your residence. So there's a lot of different things. We urge people to go out, create a proactive environment within your community, talk to your neighbors. It's okay to do that. We've done that for years. Talk to your neighbors and work it out through your neighborhood.
All righty. Well, thank you, Lieutenant, for coming on and giving us that quick update. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Stay tuned for more right here on HTV.